I'm making a rustic Liberty Bell for a friend. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. Today is the Let Freedom Ring collaboration. I'll link all of the creators' channels listed in the description box. Please be sure to check out the playlist for more patriotic DIY ideas. Let's get into it. I used my scroll saw to cut my Liberty Bell from 1-inch pine, and I've also cut a stand. So everything has already been sanded and is ready for paint. I'm going to give the bell shape 2 coats of Ceramcoat white to start, including the edges. I've already covered the back with a coat of navy blue. These bells are really big sellers for me because I'm in Philadelphia, so, home to Liberty Bell. And the great thing about this is you can leave them up all year long, really, if you wanted to. I use painter's tape to mask off my stripes. I want the center stripe to be red, so I'll place the tape down the middle as a guide, and then I'll line both sides with more tape before removing the guide strip. And I repeat this, to line up all the stripes. I make sure that my tape is well stuck, and I pencil Mod Podge along the tape edge to keep the paint from bleeding underneath. This will ensure that I have a nice crisp line once I pull up the tape. Now I'll paint in my stripes with 2 coats of Americana Primary Red. I remove the tape while the paint is still slightly damp to prevent it from peeling off any of the red paint. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Nice crisp lines. While I still have the red on the go, I'll continue the red stripes on the inside and outside edges. I'm going to give the bell's brace 2 coats of navy. This is Ceramcoat navy. So I made a mask from cardstock to protect my stripes while I'm stamping on my stars. So I'm just going to line it up. I'll load up my stamp with white paint. I'm just brushing it on. And then I'm going to stamp the stars on randomly. I'm going to do the ones around the mask first, get that out of the way. We'll do a wee bit of shading with Folk Art Floating Medium. This is a clear gel that helps to diffuse the paint, assisting in the shading process. I prep my brush with the medium, then I'm going to scoop up the paint onto the corner of my brush. I'll stroke my brush onto the plate to load the bristles. This will spread the paint about halfway across the brush. The paint will be darkest at the corner where I loaded the paint and fade as it moves toward the middle, giving me a gradient of color to the paint. So now I'm going to hold my paint corner of the brush to the edge of my stripe, and I'm going to stroke along, laying down my shading. I'm using Ceramcoat Black Cherry to shade the red. It's like a maroon color. It's kind of got a little bit of a purple thing going on. I tend to use this color for my shade when I'm using a standard or primary red. Once I shade one side of the stripe, I'll come back in and shade the other side. Again, holding the paint corner of my brush to the edge. And you can see I reload my paint and my medium frequently. I'll repeat this on the white stripes using Americana bleached sand, which is a hue darker than the white. It's kind of got like a grayish thing going on. I shade around the perimeter of the navy with Ceramcoat ink blot, and this is a shade or two darker than the navy. It's subtle, but it's there. Once it's dry, I'll sand the edges to distress. I want to expose some of the natural wood, and I'll do this until I'm happy with it. I've wiped away all of the dust, and I'm applying two stains. I mixed burnt sienna paint with Joe Sonia retarder medium for the first. That's this orangey looking color. I apply it mostly to the edges, just lightly to the surface with a brush, and I wipe it back with a cloth. And I do this to the sides too. It is pouring rain here, so that's what you're hearing in the background, the rain hitting my air conditioner. When I'm happy with that, I'll come back in with Folk Art Antiquing medium, and I'll repeat the process. Again, mostly on the edges, so that the natural wood that I exposed takes the stain. And I stain the stand too. When the stain is dry to the touch, I'll lightly sand the surface. To attach the stands, I'll use two 2-inch corner brackets. I'll line them up where I want them to go. I'm going to mark the holes for the screws, and then I'm going to drill pilot holes. I'm using a drill bit that's close in size to the threading on my screws. I'm going to add some wood glue before screwing on the brackets, just for a little extra support. Each bracket takes 4 screws, so I need 8 in total. Now for some embellishments. I'm going to add a mending plate to the front of the bell, but I'm going to rust it up first. So I'm pouncing on some burnt umber paint to the plate, and I'm using a cosmetic sponge for this. I'm going to paint the screws too. When the burnt umber is dry, I'm going to come back in with some burnt sienna and just dab it on here and there. I'll shake on some cinnamon for that rusty texture. And I'm going to spray this with a clear matte sealer to keep the cinnamon, from shedding. I want to add a tag too, so I'll use my vintage photograph distressing ink on the edges. Then I'll come back and I'll hit it with some black ink as well. I want to get it, nice and grungy. And now with my black ink, I'll stamp on Liberty 1776. I'll attach my mending plate, center front. Felt this area really needed something, you know what I mean? There's a lot of negative space there. And then I'll spray it with a clear matte sealer. I make a scrap bow by crisscrossing some fabric strips in an X formation, and I'm going to twist the chenille stem around the middle. I'm also wrapping a length of paddle wire around the center of the bow to push through the hole that I'm going to drill onto the front of the bell. I did this to secure the bow. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I attached the tag just by hooking it onto the extra chenille stem in the back. So, to hide the mechanics there, I'm wrapping another piece of fabric around the middle, nice and tight. I'm drilling a hole on the front as I mentioned, so I can push the wire through. The reason I'm doing this is because this will be my friend's front window, which gets a lot of sun all day basically, which would melt any glue that I might use. So this is just extra protection to keep the bow in place. I will add glue too for extra support, but this will make sure that the bow doesn't fall off. And I'm just going to wrap the wire around itself in the back. So here I am hitting it in spots with 3-in-1 glue and a little bit of hot glue. Just again, to kind of make sure that the bow doesn't move around, it keeps its position. We just have to add the electric candle and we're done. Here's a final look at our rustic Liberty Bell. I think it's the perfect patriotic decoration. What do you think? Let me know. Tell me down in the comments. Thanks to Melissa of Buckeye Girl for bringing us together for this collab. You'll find links to everyone's channels as well as the playlist and a list of supplies in the description box. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.